Hello, guys, and welcome back to the Say More podcast. My name is Phoebe Hagan, co-host of this podcast. And today I've got a very, very special guest, and I'm really, really excited to have her on. And I want to say a massive thank you to her because I literally asked her pretty much like 2 days ago if she wanted to come on the podcast. And she said yes, and we're literally bringing it to you right here and now. We have Allison Testu on the podcast today, and I'm super excited to have her. Hello, Allison.
Hello, everyone. Hello, Phoebe. Thank you for having me. So
I'm
great.
really excited. Honestly, I'm so excited to have you on. How have you been? How's your week been so far?
Also, my week, last week, I was in the pro qualifier in Metz, in France, just assisting in the organization of the award ceremony. Sorry for my English, but sometimes. So yes, I was assisting the team, the French team, and it was amazing. I just came back and had a big working day, working week also, and then yesterday I was in a posing seminar in Luxembourg. So I
Nice.
spent all day there. There was not a lot of ladies, but actually it's better this way because like this I can focus on
Yeah.
everyone.
Yeah, I
But yes,
find it's better that way for sure.
better that way. And I came back yesterday evening very late, and now I'm here sick, but it's okay.
Yay, we love that. We love that. Well, yeah, I know you said you were kind of like, oh, I feel a little bit ill. So again, thank you so much for obviously coming on and stuff. Yeah, so you did because didn't you have your own show recently as well?
Yes, it's a regional
Yeah.
NPC, and actually it's the Canadian Alliance of Pro League that just make a team with the two Bro Pros, so just Ian Constable, and they just bring some national show, regional show in France, sorry, and they put the name of Olympians on top of the show just to give a little bit of credit to
Yeah.
the French athletes.
Yeah. Oh, I love that. That it was really nice. That I love seeing like all. I mean, there's won so many shows this year, just in general, in like in the European circuit. I find like it's really nice to see how it's growing. Like each year, there's more and more like regional shows, like national shows, pro qualifiers, all that type of thing coming to life. And I think, obviously, for any like Americans or Canadians, or I mean, Canadians can probably relate, but I feel like if any Americans listening, like people forget that NPC wasn't a thing in Europe for a very long time. Like
Yes,
was it 2018 that it started to, it was,
yes.
yeah,
2018 or even 2020, I think. In France, it's 2020. They wanted to create a regional
really?
node. Yes, we did not have anything. The first regional in France was planned for 2020, and they canceled it because of the COVID. So the first regional show was in 21.
Wow. That for
Yes,
NPC?
yes,
That's crazy. Yeah, because I remember Two Bros became a thing in 2018, and that's when I turned pro. And then I obviously went on to do pro shows that there was like more in the UK. Well, there's a few in the UK and a few in Europe and stuff as well. But like I think people forget like we haven't only just had NPC, it's been IFBB for a while. And then obviously when the split happened, that's when it became obviously mainly NPC in like Europe and all that sort of thing. But I love seeing like when I saw like your show, I was like, oh, it makes me proud and like it's exciting because obviously it is growing. Do you know what I mean? It's growing and it's really, really nice to see and stuff like that. So yeah, that's exciting. And did that all run
and
smoothly and stuff?
yes, everything was perfect. There was a lot of people, was incredible. And the level in beginning was quite normal, but in classic physics, the level is raising so much. I think
That's
that's
cool.
because of the impact of Sebum on social media also. But the classic physics, they were incredible, like really incredible. And also I
That's
have
so
seen
cool.
that in few weeks, I don't know if it's next week, but in UK, they got the train by GP Classic.
Hmm. Yeah,
It's
they
a,
have that. Yeah, they have. There's so many. I like it as well because there's a lot of one like online coaches and also like brands and all that type of thing sponsoring more of the shows now. Like they're becoming more apparent, so then it gets more people to the shows and all that type of thing. So it just pushes things more and more, which is just really exciting, if I'm honest. So no, I'm excited, and it just made me like, yeah, feel proud. I was like, oh, Allison's show, that's so cool. Like I think hopefully I'm like one day I'll have my own show. Like that's
I'm
definitely in the like
sure. I'm
little
sure you
books.
will. I'm sure you will, and I hope I will keep mine because if if next year I don't get the qualification, maybe I don't have my show
Yeah.
anymore. So let's see, let's
No,
see.
you'll always have your show. You'll always have it. So firstly, again, thank you so much for coming on. And for anyone that doesn't obviously know who you are, and I'm sure everyone knows who you are, tell us a little bit about yourself, how you got into bodybuilding and all that type of thing.
So my name is Allison. I am French. I started just training and dieting in 2016 by hazard, actually, because my boyfriend was in men's physics, so he put me into this lifestyle just because he wanted me to take care a bit of my health, because I was in iron deficiency, not something really deep, but I was a shit. I was not able to work perfectly because I was falling into apples. I don't know if it's the expression in English, but yes, so we decided for me to start being followed by a prep coach and to take care of my health. And 8 months after, I was doing the Power Expo in Portugal. So at that time it was IFBB, now it's a NPC regional, but I started like this and I finished at the sixth place and I was like, what the fuck? What I just fall into? I wanted to do another show, so I took 1 year off and then jumped straight in the Arnold Classic Europe in Santa Susana, and they put me at the ninth place, and I was okay. I will keep going. And then I did the World Championships in Biarritz, and they put me in fifth position. I was like, oh, that's something.
So you're climbing at this point, yeah.
In the IFBB, yes, and I was okay. I will keep going. So I did the national Portugal, and I won the overall. And then 1 week after, I did the European Championships in Santa Susana, and I won my class also, and I finished at top 3 overall, something like this. And they give me the Elite Pro card. So then I compete in Elite Pro, and I finished second place in the Arnold Classic Europe.
Nice.
Next to Yana Knievich-Korova.
Oh. Oh my God, I remember her. That's
Yes.
actually crazy. I remember she was like one of my inspos, like back in the day when I was obviously doing IFBB and stuff. I loved her.
Yes, she's amazing. And she started again to compete because she got 2 babies. So now she's competing again in Elite Pro. But
Oh
at that
wow.
time, at that, yes, amazing. And also Oksana Brigadier, who was winning everything in Elite Pro, she just turned pro in a Pro League recently. So that's something huge because
No
they all come
way.
back. Yes, so good. And
That's
what I
so
wanted
cool.
to say, yes, Yana, she did the Olympia actually before the split into both of federation, and she finished 10th place, something like this, back in 2000. I don't remember, but yes. So I started in Elite Pro, IFBB and IFBB Elite Pro, and then I switched federation into the NPC in 2020. And because the regional was cancelled, I jumped into Alicante in October 2020.
I remember
And
that.
I had my pro card next to Ivana and Chloe.
I remember, and we competed at the same pro show. Oh, that was Spain 2020. That was the only
Yes.
European pro show that year. I remember because obviously 2020 was, the year of COVID. So that's
Yes,
crazy.
pre-qualification for the Olympia. I think it
Yeah.
was, yeah, Adriana won, and Vizcaya, she
Yeah.
got the,
Second, and then
yes,
Francesca?
Francesca, yes.
Francesca, and then I got fourth. Yeah, so I remember that I was like so close to getting that, and I was like, damn it. I remember that year specifically, and I was like, oh, here we go again. Let's keep going. So,
Yes,
but yeah, oh
exactly.
my God, I forgot that. How did you find
Yes.
that pro show? Obviously, you going from like, I think people always ask, like, how do you feel going from amateur to pro so quickly? So, like, anyone that's listening, most shows in America, obviously you get your pro card and there's usually no pro shows that same day. But a lot of the times in Europe, I mean, majority of the time, there is a pro show that day or the next day,
Yes.
so you can compete straight away. I mean, my opinion, I always think if you're there, you're ready, you've just won your pro card, the judges know who you are, you can get that feedback straight away from being up against the pro girls, and then you can either take a off season or continue or whatever. And that's what I've always thought. But what do you feel like? How do you feel like going from that kind of amateur to pro? Like, how did you feel that day?
So in fact, I took my feedback from amateur, and they told me you are a little bit too much. So be careful. So actually, I was like, okay, because I'm a little bit too much already. Like I can just jump into the pro show and see compared to the pro girls, because of course I was coming from Elite Pro directly. So in Elite Pro, they really want legs and back and shoulders. The frame is different. So I straight jump into NPC. So I was already not with a pro
There.
shape, but with the muscles. And actually, I just jumped into it, and they told me, be careful, you are a little bit too big, even in the pro show, too dense, too dry. The midsection was a little bit off also. And they told me posing, you need to be careful because posing, your style is very European. And I was like,
Mm-hmm.
okay, what does it mean, European? I was
Yeah.
like, and in fact, they told me you move a little bit too much the ends, like in the other federation, and you need more to standardize your posing and pose in itself.
Yeah. And I
So
mean
everything
that's
happened there.
that's normal. Yeah, that's normal feedback. And I know because of that time, obviously each federation is always wanting to try and have their own style, right? So obviously you coming in from IFBB Elite, because I was even the same when I came from IFBB Elite as well in 2018. I feel like I wasn't obviously pro in IFBB Elite or anything like that, but the posing was very different. It's a lot more like bigger and more showy and stuff like that. So obviously I can understand where that kind of came from, of course. But I mean, you made massive changes from 2020 to now. Like in 4 years, you've gone to the Arnold's, you've gone to the Olympia twice or three times?
Twice.
Twice, yeah. So twice. And like I personally see you as like one of the best in Europe, like
Mm,
because of the placings you got, because of the continuous like showing up you've shown towards obviously like France, your country, all that type of thing. So I feel like 4 years being in the pro league, like you've done so much, so much.
thank you.
Yeah,
Thank you so
it's
much.
really exciting.
I feel emotional when you say that to me.
Oh,
Thank you.
don't. It's true though. It's really. I think we've said this before, and I will get to kind of this situation because I think it'll be a good topic to talk about. But I think it's really easy to kind of forget as like coming from outside of the US, like we forget that what we do is actually huge. Do you know what I mean? Like for me, sometimes I think, oh, it's the Olympia, but it's the biggest competition in the world for bodybuilding. Do you know what I mean? Like it's like the Olympics of bodybuilding. And I think sometimes it's so easy to forget like what you're actually working towards, and then you look back and you're like, wow, I've actually done loads. Like I've done a lot for like country, all that type of thing, and representing like first and foremost. So I think that's really really cool. And like obviously, like we've said before, like it's amazing that we get to do that. If I'm honest. And my next question to you was obviously, how do you feel, I guess, obviously, with your season so far that you've obviously had in 2024, and how you feel, obviously, not competing at this year's Olympia, which is literally in like 6 days. I mean, how do you feel like your season went this year?
Actually, I think it was quite good because I've been able for the first time to do 7 shows in a row. Thing
Wow.
that could never happen before because my shape was dying after the second show of the season. So actually, the fact I did a growth season was good because I was able to keep the muscles full and they stay here. After the sixth show, the shape was not responding anymore and the glutes were flat no matter what we were doing, but that was the end. But I feel proud because this was something that changed. Also, the feedback from the judge was not so bad, actually. We just needed to erase what we did in the growth season. They want me to come back to the Allison of before. So I
Yeah.
was like, okay, so I put myself into my own trouble by myself. I was like, okay. So we just need to erase from 2023 and to come back to 2021 and 2022.
Yeah.
Just
And I think,
this.
yeah, and I think because obviously, well, obviously, just to recap, obviously, your previous, what you were working towards, obviously, you were working towards wellness in 2023, correct?
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
2023. So, and if I'm honest, like, especially from what you've obviously shown on Instagram and all that type of thing, you grow fast, like, you grow well. But obviously, I know you said before that, legs weren't there, the glutes were there, but obviously legs weren't there. And then you thought, do you know what? I want to be in bikini. I want to kind of like move towards the category I feel like more drawn to, which I think is great. But obviously, when they say, erase 2023 and all that type of thing, it's a case of you just sizing down a little bit. Is that correct?
Yes. I
Okay,
just
cool.
need to
Yeah.
size down the legs, but that's sad because we did good work on the legs,
Yeah.
not on the muscles, but it's not the quadriceps in itself they want me to reduce, but it's the hips. So all the hips, flexors, and things like this, they just enlarge the hips. And so, unfortunately, when I do my pose, this is looking correct. From pose, it's correct. But when I do move in the space on the stage, we really see the difference between, for example, Ashley, who is very petite on the hips, and me. So we can correct that with posing, but we cannot cheat the eye of the judges when I am walking to the
Yeah.
back or front, of course. And also, the last show in Portugal, they asked me they want more longer glutes, less short.
Okay.
But the point is that there is a part of genetic also. I can go as deep as I want, but also there is a part of genetic. So I will try to do that. But the feedback in the first part of the season in USA was just, you are a little bit too thick and a tad too dry. They did not speak too much about my hips. They were just like, you really need to size down again, all the shape more, and just soften a little bit before the stage.
Yeah. And I think, if
So
I'm
that's,
honest, that's not bad feedback. I think that's pretty, like, because you did really well placement wise this year. Was it the Wasatch? You got fourth? Was it fourth? Against like a strong lineup, like, and I think that's a really good, because that was a big show. There's a big, heavy show and stuff like that with some good names in it. So I think you're there. It's just a case of, again, you know what it's like in the pro league. It's a case of, a fine tuning, like that could be literally like the size of a hair. Like it's so small, like it's small little things that really define you from, like, each pro. And as we already know, it's all opinion based, so it's always hard when you get all this feedback and you're like, cool, what do I do with it? But obviously, like you said, you've got a really good coach, you've got a good head on your shoulders, and you know what you're going to kind of like do moving forwards. Do you think you'll compete in next year, 2025? Or do you think you're just
yes.
going to see? You are.
Yes, no,
Okay,
no.
cool.
I'm
That's
I'm gonna
exciting.
compete. I'm gonna compete. I think I'm gonna start my cuts in January, but I'm gonna
Nice.
choose the show differently. I wanted in 2024 to do the hardest show, except for India. I wanted to do Wasatch because of the reputation. I wanted to be compared with someone with a big name. So I was not going
Yeah.
there to win, but I wanted to be next to Amy, next to Ashley. And honestly, it was amazing because when I was next to them, I was clearly having the vision of what is different. And the point is that if, for example, Ashley and Amy got the perfect genetic for bikini, I can perfectly target what's wrong on me. And
Yeah.
also what's wrong is the thickness of my skin. I mean, even I'm in off season, I don't have this layer on the skin that they do. So it's partly genetic, but that's also an explanation of why I don't succeed as I do, for example. So I can put things on the feedbacks that the judge say to me.
Yeah. And it's good. Like I've always said this to so many people. It's always good to be next to the top of the top. Like I don't think it's amazing that people can say like I'm excited to be next to Ashley, Amy, whoever else, because you're going to be compared against the best. So then you can know what you need to actually change moving forward. It's like I'd be the same. Like I remember when I was literally standing next to Issa in Olympia, and I was like, oh my god, this is actually insane. And like you just look at those photos and you're like, this is nuts. Like it's just cool to one, be able to
So cool.
stand next to them, but two, also be like, right, okay, these are the tops. What do I need to now improve on to become them? It's not comparing yourself, but it's also just seeing what they have and what you could potentially improve. So I think that's really cool. So that's amazing. So in terms of obviously, you did 7 shows this year towards, getting towards the Olympia for this year. How do you feel? Obviously, it's always hard to not achieve that goal because you've done 7 shows. It's a lot of shows to do without getting that kind of end goal of the Olympia. How do you feel, obviously, not competing at it, I guess?
I guess, I guess at the beginning I was feeling a little bit disappointed, not because of the classification, because I deserved all the place I got. I understand all the feedbacks, but I was disappointed because all the previous Olympians who were actually competed, they do have their qualification and me not. And so the fact of not getting my qualification, but the other, yes, and even new pro, yes, I was like,
Mhm.
okay, maybe I got my qualification, the 2 qualification by luck. And that's,
Yeah,
I, I think that's the hardest thing, because honestly, I don't have the answer. Maybe I got my qualification by luck, and maybe I was not deserving to get it. And so because the lineup, they were a little bit weaker, that's actually my thoughts at the beginning.
yeah.
So yes.
That's 1,000. I already know, firstly, that's 1,000% not the case. Like, that you're
Mm.
two. Firstly, you said two. Like, luck happens once, luck can't happen twice, Like, I feel like you were definitely deserving of both of those Olympia qualifications when you got them. And I think regardless, like you still made it into that top 50. Was it top 15 your first year?
I was
So
12.
like, yeah, that's not luck. Like that's not luck, especially. And I know that was in a smaller, this one of the smaller, because obviously now Olympia is huge, but like this one of the smaller Olympias I remember, but the names were all of them were big, like very good, hard hitting names that you beat people that had been winning multiple times over years and years and years. So I generally, it's hard because I do the same. Your brain goes to immediately, oh, okay, so because I'm not doing something now, previous times was only probably like a fluke or it wasn't meant to happen. I was there just at the right time. I'm not good enough. And it sucks when your brain does go to that because then it kind of it brings down all your hard work that you've just done. But like definitely I hope you don't think that now because you know that you are good enough. You know that you're good enough to be up there.
Depend.
I know what you're thinking as well because I know you're probably like, well, it might be luck still, but honestly, I think you don't need to think like that because people already know how good you are, and like we said before, like it's a case of time, and we know how this game works. It's hard because it's just a case of consistency. Just keep showing up, keep making the improvements, and then your time will come again. Do you know what I mean? It's hard though. It is. I don't think people realize how hard mentally it actually is. It's tough. It's
Yes,
very, very
it's
tough.
tough, and particularly because the 2 first times I went to the Olympia, I was not competing in the goal of getting the qualification. It happens. It surprised me. It surprised me really. So this year that I was competing with the goal of getting there did not happen, and I was like, okay, it's for sure I'm doing something wrong with
Yeah.
my mindset or something. Maybe I'm looking too desperate on stage or something. Please choose me. But yes, but now I realize that when I look at the picture, okay, yes, in UK was the first try when you were at the show, and I was way too full. Of course, I was way too wide and full, but it was not the full like watery, but it was the full not ready. And this type of
Okay.
full was making me too big, too big. But
Okay. No.
was a good conditioning that I could put on a skinnier shape in USA maybe. And that was the trial. That was to check which conditioning looked good on me and what I need to reach in terms of proportion to be able to put that softness on stage.
Yeah.
So we cannot soften when I reach too far the point of the good peak. It's better to stop the cut before for it to look beautiful in terms of, I don't know, in terms of the condition when it looks a little bit dirty because you try to catch up the softness.
Yeah. Yeah. It's when it gets grainy, like get too
Yes,
grainy. Yeah.
when it gets too grainy and you want to soften, then the condition is like blurred a little bit. It's not beautiful. So we wanted to make some trials, and of course, was not working in UK. But then
Yeah.
in USA was better.
Yeah. And I think that's good. Like you said, like I said before, it's good that you actually go ahead and try. Like you did 7 shows, you pushed yourself like hard this year. So you were able to kind of see, okay, what do they actually want? Like, let's get feedback from everyone. And then we can have all this feedback for moving forwards for whenever you step on stage again. So that's always what you want to try and do when everyone always says this. You always want to try and compete not as many times as possible, but to as far as you can go to try and really get everything out of it, like for you, for when you're stepping on stage and stuff. So, but no, I think one, I'm excited for this year's Olympia. I'm excited to watch this because it's literally this weekend. I'm excited to watch the Olympia. I'm sad that I'm obviously not going to be there, and I'm sad because obviously that at the beginning of the year that was obviously a goal of mine. But my goal, difference between me and you, obviously my goal changed. I kind of said like, let's not do this year. But it still does. It still makes me sad because obviously the last 2 years it's been, we're there. So now not doing that, I'm like, oh, this feels weird, but I'm excited to kind of see what happens because I think it's going to be really interesting. Yeah, and we'll get into that kind of, I guess, now in a second, because I do definitely want to go through. I mean, this is what the whole podcast is going to be about, is talking about kind of the Olympia predictions and what we think are, I guess, top 15 are, but like who we think will kind of be surprising, and just talking about just the list in general. So I think there's, how many girls are there? There's 80, not 80, sorry. There's 56, what I
I
counted
did not
last time.
count. I did
Yeah,
not
I think
count
there's,
at all.
so I had the list up, and I think it's 56. That's me counting the thing, but I know obviously Jen's not doing it obviously now, and I don't know if there's other people that aren't doing it as well. I know it's just a case of they just put the list and who's qualified up, and I think it's 56, 55 potentially, if obviously that doesn't count Jen. So I mean, what do you kind of think about this? Like, firstly, it's huge. It's obviously, I thought it was going to be a little bit smaller this year, but it's the same, like still 50 something girls.
It's huge. It's really huge. I remember in 2022, we were like over 60.
Yeah, I remember that. That was
But
tough. That was
yes,
a long day.
that was really, really bad. There was a lot of
It was
stages.
a long day. I think the hard thing is it's it's only tough because it's a long day. And I
Yes,
think sometimes as well, when you've got to be on stage with 60 people at once, that's tiring. Like that's really tiring. That's really tough. So I think that's the only time where it becomes hard, I think. It's not a case of like it's a bad thing, because obviously I think it's amazing that they're still able to, get 60 people qualified. I think it would be cool if they were to kind of bring things down a little bit, like, get to
yes,
potentially 40, 45 in a way, instead of having obviously like quite a large amount of girls. But again, I think bikini is growing as an actual, like I said, as a category. It's growing more and more and more. And I feel like it's the same with that men's physique, wellness. They're growing so much. So I personally don't see it getting smaller, because if the
Mm-mm.
same shows kind of come about and there'll be less people potentially competing, um, then I think it's just going to continue to keep growing. Which again, like I said, isn't a bad thing, but it becomes hard when you're then on stage with that many
Yes,
people.
yes. But I also think that the leaders in bikini,
Hmm.
in by the leaders I mean the top five, top six, they could do a little bit more like Ashley. They
Hmm.
could compete more on the
Yeah.
board just to bring the standard a little bit more in Europe, because in Europe we see clearly some winners that don't fit what the judges want in USA, because there is no better choice on that day. So I
Yeah.
think actually Maureen, Lauralie, or because I love them, but they should do like Ashley, competing more here, because we
Yeah.
really need them to set the bar high and also to block the qualification for the Olympia, because
Hmm.
everyone is getting the qualification, but not
Yeah, I
a
know.
lot
No,
of
I know what
people.
you mean. Yeah, I agree. If I'm honest, I think it's true because I think also it also brings in like fans and stuff as well. So it makes the shows bigger and it allows the promoters to then, if they have those big, those big numbers in the audience, to give more prize money, all that type of thing. So like, I think, yeah, I think it's good to just keep having people that are kind of at the top continuously competing like they do with the bodybuilders. Like the bodybuilders, like keep competing year after year and stuff because they kind of have to and stuff to get qualified. But I think doing a few shows a year, I think it's good for fans, but also good for the criteria, just so we can keep knowing what the actual standard is and what the criteria needs to be for sure.
Yes,
So
we definitely
yeah.
need, because in Europe, even for me, like I see some shows from a spectator point of view, and this is far, far from what I see in USA. Like in Europe, they keep telling you need more tithing, you need more tithing, you need more tithing, and in USA, it's like you need less veins, you need less tithing, you need soften, and all the time I'm seeing two things, and it's complicated for the bikinis. So in fact, they want you to win a certain way, but then between the Europe and the Olympia, you need to change your shape
Yeah,
for
it's very
European.
different. It's very different, and it's hard because obviously for the judges, obviously they can only judge what's in front of them. So it's a case of if everyone brings really lean, really hard, then obviously someone's going to the Olympia that's going to be really hard, really lean, and it's not going to fit the criteria for the Olympia. And for them just moving forwards in wanting to improve and stuff, it's going to be tough. So no, I agree. I think I also do want to compete more in Europe. Like whenever I can, step on stage again, I want to come back because the last time I actually stepped on stage was in 2020 for Europe. So I'm like, I want to come back. I kind of want to come back and like go and
Amazing.
do those shows again because the production level has like it's doubled like since I've last been on stage. So I think it'd be a really, really good difference. But no, I completely agree about the Europeans and stuff like that. Just trying to make sure that we can just basically better the criteria. That's all we want it to be. So yeah, but okay. So let's get into the good stuff. So
I got my list. I got my
I
list.
I love that. I've literally got my phone here. I'm like, right, let's go. So okay, let's do it into kind of like splits because I think it's going to be quite a large difference anyway. So, I mean, who do you have as your top five? Which is kind of
Hmm.
obvious, but obviously, who would you have as your top five? It doesn't have to, I mean, let's do it in order. Who would you have in order for your top five?
Okay, so there is two vision of me. There is the me who want to listen the judges, and there is a me, my taste. So I try to make a mix of both because my taste is different. But I would put Amy in first position uh, because she totally fit the softness that Sandy likes and wants. Then in second position, I would put Lauralie because Lauralie got everything to win Olympia, but she's already more on the lean side because she cannot
Hmm.
look too full. Also, it does not fit too much the shape on her. It looks better, a little bit more lean. So I would put her second. Then third, I would put Ashley.
Hmm.
Even if I think that the Japan Ashley was looking extremely good, So it can be top 3 in any order, honestly. And then I would put Ariana, and in 5, Ashlyn. Just because Ariana and Ashlyn got very good front and back pose. But then all the other are a little bit less complete in my taste, in my point of view.
Okay. So yeah, to be fair, I completely agree with you. Who did you say? Did you say our Aria Brothers? Is that who you're talking about?
Yes.
Yeah. So I have her between kind of like 5th and 6th because I feel like her shape's massive. She's always been like a really strong competitor, but I think now her shape is really starting to come into life. She's got that leanness that that they want. Like that, she has the fullness. She even had the fullness. Obviously, was it last year? Yeah, last year when she got 7th. But she just needed a bit more size, like a bit bigger. Now she has that size, the exact same shape, and still a little bit leaner, tiny bit harder, but not too much. I think she could potentially crack into that top 5, top 6 kind of region. I 100% agree. Why would you say Amy? So you said Amy winning, and would you not have Maureen in that top 5?
No.
Wouldn't have Maureen.
I love Maureen, but I do think the front pose is not competitive enough.
Okay.
Because when she tried to soften the condition, I think she blurred the waist very easily, and she lose the hourglass. This is maybe too blurry for her to look so good. I would put Maureen in 6th position, even if I think she looks better when she's lean. When she did the Boston, I think was Boston, I think that was she was perfect. She was perfect.
The best she looked there. To be fair, I remember, that shape was probably her best she's looked, for sure.
I think she looks better when she's a little bit leaner.
Yeah. No, I agree. And I think she just needs, like you say, that hourglass shape, from what I've seen this year, is more than sometimes the muscle mass and sometimes even the conditioning. If it's really close between 2 people or really close between the top 3 in a pro show recently, I've seen they've picked the shape over kind of anything else, which is surprising. No, it's not surprising, to be fair, because I say, oh yeah, it's not surprising, but it isn't surprising because that's what bikini is. It's about shape. It's not just muscle and condition. It's shape. And I think you have to have that now to get into that kind of like top 5, top 10 region of the Olympia. Pretty much mine is the same, but just a little bit more mixed. So I have Lauralie as first. So the reason I've got these top 3 as my 3, and this is only because Jen is obviously now not doing it. I feel like last year, if you look at the top 5, you see Jen, Maureen, Ashley, Lauralie, and Issa. And I feel like out of the 2, Issa and Lauralie were more muscular. And then the other top 3 they have density, but they were smaller, right? So they were like a little bit smaller. They still had that like shape, that kind of curve and shape, but they were a little bit smaller. Now I feel like Jen's not in that lineup anymore. I feel like Amy can kind of now slip into that top 5. And then I feel like Lauralie, so I have Lauralie as first, Amy as second, Issa as third. And I feel like because their muscle mass and they match each other very, very well, if that makes sense. Like you put them next to each other and they all have very similar shapes with, really nice curves from like the lower back going into the glutes. They've got a good amount of V taper, but not too much where it's like overpowering in the upper body, small waist, great presentation. I feel like they just like you put those 3 next to each other and I think they would be like very comparable, if that makes sense. That's why I was messaging you yesterday and I was like, I want to explain my theory to you because it sounds crazy, but like I think that's what I see it as. Like, to be fair, those top 3 could change if I'm honest, but I think those 3 are the most comparable out of the top 6 that I have, if that makes sense. And I just think that Ashley and Maureen still have insane physiques, but I think, like you said before about Maureen, I think they kind of just missed the marker of that kind of shape that those 3 have, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm. Good, good. And don't you think Isa gonna be good enough on the back pose?
I think this is the best I've seen her. When I mean, I haven't seen her in person, and you know what it's like where you're like, this is the best I've seen her, and you don't know what it is in person. But from what I've seen, I do think this is like the best she's brought. And I think her back shot, it depends as well on how she moves and how it moves, because in static shots, I think anyone in static shots can obviously look great. It just depends on whether or not she looks good walking to the back of the stage as, Amy and Lauralie, because those girls, their glutes do not move. Same with all of them, if I'm honest, they just don't move. And I know obviously with Issa, that's also, something that they've kind of, said the lower half just needs to be a little bit tighter and a little bit more developed to stand up with the rest of the girls. But I do think this year it looks like she has that. She does, though. She's always had that freak factor. That's the only thing I think that potentially does bring her not down, but potentially will bring her down, is the lower half and then that kind of freak factor, because they don't really want the freak factor in bikini, the really small waist, the big V taper. You want to make sure that obviously you're just careful of that. So I think that would be top three, but then it literally, like we said before, it could be anyone. It could be a completely new, it could be a completely new champion, a completely new top five that we literally had no clue about. But do you know what I mean? Like, I think that's who I kind of have. And then I think Maureen and Ashley could kind of switch between fourth and fifth. And then I have kind of Ariel in, between, again, sixth and fifth. Because again, she's a really good contender and stuff. I just think she just needs, because you look at the girls, obviously in that top, like, Amy, Lauralie, you said they've just got so much dense muscle. I would just want to see what they look like next to her. Aria looks next to them to see what would then kind of come from that. And then who would you put as I honestly, for my like sixth down to 15th, I've literally, I haven't, this isn't in order or anything like that. These are just people that I think could be contenders, because I always find 6th to 15th is the most interesting part. Like, because top 5, you could kind of guess in a way, like, these are the people, that will probably, stay in that top range. But from 6th to 15th is always like, it could be anyone. Like, literally, it could be anyone on that day that looks, exceptionally insane, Who do you have from that kind of like 6th to, let's say 10th? So 6th to 10th kind of region, who do you have?
Oh, God. I did not put them in any order, but I put Maureen, Isa Puccini, Ivana, Vanya, Angelica, and Jordan. But it makes 11.
Yeah, no. To be fair, I'm completely the same. I think I've got Ashlyn in there. I've got Ashlyn Little. I've got Vanya, Angelica, Jordan, and then obviously Ariel brothers. So I think that that gets me to 11. So I think those will be in that kind of like tops from 6th to 10th place. I mean, I think Ashlyn and Ariel will potentially be fighting for that kind of like 6th spot, I think, because I think that the density that Ashlyn's brought, I think this year, from what, again, this is all from what I've just seen from like Instagram and stuff. I haven't seen her in person. So, but I think from what you see online, her density has come out a lot more. And I know that was one thing that they said that she needed to bring more of, was just a bit more density to get into that kind of like, upper end of the top 10, if that makes sense.
And you don't have Ivana?
No, I do. I have Ivana. I just haven't placed them. I haven't placed them specifically like where, but I do think that I put Ashlyn as like between kind of like that 6th, 7th mark, because I feel like she would be kind of at the upper end of like that top 10 or the 6th to 10th range, if that makes sense. I think she could probably kind of be just under, in 6th place or 7th place for sure. I think Vanya looks really good, and she's shown that obviously this year and how much she's improved and stuff like that in terms of the density in her glutes and everything. And And same with Angelica. I think Angelica, it's cool to see her kind of coming back. This will be her first Olympia in like what, 5 years? 5 years?
Something
4 years? I think it's 4 years. I think the last one she did was in 2020. I think.
with Beatrice, with Biscaya. Yes, I
Yes.
think so.
Yeah. Yeah, so this will be her first one in like 3-4 years. So I'm excited to see what she looks like. I think I know obviously she's previously said before that she needs just a bit more density in the lower half, and to just be tighter everywhere. Because again, she hasn't competed, she's had 2 kids, like that's incredible. So it's just a case of literally just fine-tuning those things, but I still think she'll get into that top 10 for sure.
Good.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm excited. And then who do you think would be from Europe? Who do you think would kind of sneak into kind of like that top, I'd say, 10, top 15 range? Is there anyone in Europe that you would say would sneak in? I think Ivana would probably sneak into that top 15 range. And I think Adriana as well. She's just obviously won the Europeans in the UK. I think she could probably potentially sneak in. Again, depending on obviously, what she brings, what she looks like next to everyone else. But I think those two could potentially sneak into that top 15.
From Europe, only Ivana. For I think Adriana, maybe not, because she seems having the same trouble as I do. She seems having a little bit wider hips on the back pose, and the glutes don't stand out. They just
Yeah.
they just look eaten by the legs on the back shot.
Yeah, they're
So
not projection. There's not projection
yes,
like the other girls and stuff. Yeah.
because of the hips, because of the legs. In fact, it's more or less the same trouble as I do. But from pose, she looks good. She looks very good. But this is not like the Ivana back shot or your back shot or yes. For me, it's not enough.
Yeah.
So from Europe, except Ivana, I don't see anyone.
Yeah. Yeah. To be fair, that's true. I think Adriana, this is obviously because I saw her at the Europeans, and I think that's probably the best she's looked, obviously coming back, having 2 years off. But I think, yeah, you are correct. I think it'll be a case of, because Ivana's gotten into the top 15 before, I think, in the Olympia once before.
Ivana. When I was 12, she was not into the mix. When I was 17 or 18, she was right before me, so I think she was 16 or something.
Oh, okay.
She was second call out in 2022, as I do next to me and India Polino. But then in 2023, I think she was. I don't remember where she was.
Yeah, I think it might have been a little bit lower because I spoke to her, I think, a little bit after as well. So yeah, I think she might have been out of the top 15 in last year in 2023, but I think 2022, she might have just missed top 15, but I think she was close.
She was third call out. I think she was third call out in 2023. And I remember because I thought, yes, she competed less this year. So it can make sense. But this year, in 2024, she competed much more and she won everything. So
yeah, she did really well this year.
Yes. So I think Ivana.
Yeah, I agree. I think she's gonna hold it down. I think that would be exciting. And then who have you got for your kind of like dark horses that you think could, not screw everything up, but kind of like go into that top 10 and potentially just kind of go there straight away without, even thinking about it? Who do you have?
Maria Acosta, for sure. Tara, I got Tara. I got
same.
Kate Carroll, and Reina Perez.
Yeah, actually, that's actually very true. Yeah, I have Tara down. I also have Tamikia down. Tamikia Carter.
She looked good.
Because,
I like her.
Yeah, I think at the beginning of the year, I know she just needed to get a little bit tighter. I know she's mentioned that before, that she needed to be a little bit tighter. depending obviously what she looks like now, I know when she gave herself more time, because I know she did the Arnolds, and I know she said that she didn't bring, the package she wanted fully, but I think as the months went on, she competed more. I think she tightened up a lot really nicely as well. And I think then she really found her physique. So I think she could be someone to kind of like jump out and get into that top 15, top 10 potentially, really nicely. I also think Jasmine Gonzalez potentially to kind of jump out and get into that top 15, potentially top 10. Because I think it's just a case of whether or not, the density's there next to everyone else. Because again, I think people forget how dense these girls are and how much muscles they have. But I think Jasmine could definitely potentially get into that top 15 range and be a dark horse for sure. And I also have Tara as well.
I would love Jasmine to be into the top 15, but that would mean the girl with a little bit more thickness in the hips would have a chance. So let's see.
Yeah.
Because for sure, when I look at the top 10 or top 15 in the Olympia, they all, when they stand front, they all got very petite hips. Very petite. So I don't know.
Yeah, it's small. It's smaller hips. Yeah, I know what you mean with that. Now you're saying it more. It kind of makes more sense with the hip width. And sometimes it's genetic. Like you said, it's genetic. There's something. Sometimes you just can't do anything about it.
That's true. Because yes, of course, when you see Amy, Lauralie, Ashley, Ariana, Ashley, all of them, when you see them, they are really petite. But that's how they get the pop on the glutes. Because of course, with petite hips, the glutes are enough for the hips. So they just stand out even when you are doing the front position, because your hips are really small. You just sit a little bit on the glutes and it makes like
it's just rounder. Yeah, it's just round. Yeah, rounder. Just so much. There's more projection, isn't there? Like when you have a smaller joint and the muscle around it is bigger, the illusion of it makes it just pop so much more. So no, that makes complete sense, to be fair. God, it's hard for girls with big hips. It's hard for girls with big hips because unless you get big glutes, there's like nothing we can do.
Yes, but it makes sense because now that it's getting harder at the Olympia, they have to pick something. Otherwise, and when, for example, when I see the girls with the type of shelf effect on the glutes, you see what I mean? Because this shelf is possible only if you got very short glutes. Except Ashley and Reina, not a lot of ladies have this shelf, like the shelf. So the question is that the look they really want? Because they really want a little bit more. They want petite glutes also.
Yeah, it's because the thing is as well, it's a case of like if you grow your glutes too much, then it just is big, and then it's too much and it's overpowering, and then it throws your balance off. So it's a case of small hips, obviously yes, big glutes, but not too big, so then it's overpowering for the rest of the physique. Upper body obviously matches that and everything. So yeah, God, there's a lot to think about if you forget. There's a lot to actually go through, which you think about it. So, but I think you are correct. I think it's tough to say, and I think all the names that we've kind of mentioned within that kind of top 15 range, I think it also could be anyone's take. This is the thing, like it depends on what you generally look like next to everyone else and on that day, like perfectly peaked, everything. Like we say, obviously, we think this, all that sort of thing. But it all just comes down to generally what everyone looks like and how everyone presents themselves on the show day. That's all what it will always come down to, which I think it's easy to forget that, So, but yeah, it's exciting to see, to be fair. I mean, I'm really, really excited to kind of see how everyone kind of gets on. I asked obviously yesterday as well, like who on my story, like who, did people think that we're going to, get into that top 5 range? And you know what? A lot of people said the same. A lot of people said Lauralie, Ashley, Amy, Issa, Maureen. A few people said different names. So someone mentioned Raywana to get into that kind of like top 15, top 10 range, which I agree. I think Raywana would actually be a really good shout as well. I think she could definitely get into the top 15. I think to get into that top 10 range, I think potentially still just muscle mass. And again, it depends on what she looks like. She has the petite frame for it. I think
Yes.
it just depends what she looks like next to everyone else and the muscle mass, you know?
A little bit denser, a little bit more
Mm-hmm.
density into the glutes for her to be able to push a little bit more the condition without looking too flat.
Yeah, because that's the hardest part about all of this is like we want all of this density, this size, this projection, but then you've also got to have condition. Like it's not easy, and
Yes.
especially getting that condition, it takes a lot to kind of like get to. So then when you get there, you also want to try and make sure that obviously everything's not flat, depleted too much, and all that type of thing. So yeah, no, I completely agree. To be fair, like I said, everyone said the exact same kind of 5 names. Lauralie, Amy, Ashley, Issa, and that's your top 5. That's what everyone's pretty much said. So it will honestly, I think those 5 girls will be in the top 5. It just depends where. I honestly think it just depends where.
Yes. And I got a question. If we don't care about
Yes.
the criterions or anything, who in your list is the shape you like the most, you as an athlete? Like if you
Taking away
want
the criteria.
taking away,
Taking away
like
the criteria.
in this list, very important because we
Oh,
don't have to go too far from bikini either.
yeah. I generally still think it would be that top 3 for me, and it would either be Lauralie, Amy, or Issa still, because I just love the density they have. I like the projection they have, the size, the conditioning's, good, but not too much. And I just love it. I also think Tara. I think Tara, like, because I love her. I love her conditioning and like also the projection she has in her glutes. I think she's got really, really good potential. But yeah, I still think, Lauralie, Amy, Issa, I love their muscle mass and I want it to be on the more, I'm not saying Ashley and Maureen aren't muscular because they are, but just a little bit more of a muscular side for bikini because one, that's where I fall. I sit in more of a more muscular side. And I just think it just has more curve, more shape, and I love it. I love having that more muscle look on a bikini girl for sure. Who do you
Good.
think?
Me, it depends because all of them I saw them in real. All of them I saw them in real without posing. So all of them I've been in backstage with them, and okay, some of them change a little bit between evolve, but I have to say that I really like the shape of Rayla because
Yeah, yeah,
she was with me in Pittsburgh this year, and she was in the 11 or 12 position right before me. And I really need to say she was looking very good. I was like, oh, yes,
mm,
this girl, or I think I like Ashlyn Little a lot,
yeah. Mm-hmm.
but the girl that just take away all together, I think Ashley is the best looking girl I never seen ever in backstage. Like
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
the
Backstage. Yeah.
the
She's
skin.
so bubbly.
Yes, she's so bubbly. The skin look like a Barbie, like very perfect. There is no spot, no hair, no nothing on the skin, just perfect. The glutes they stay like
Yeah.
this. The waist is very small, even smaller than when she posed. Actually, the waist is very small.
Yeah.
Everything stay like this. So
That's
yes, I
yeah.
think
To be fair,
Ashley.
I gotta give her credit. I think she's an incredible competitor. I think she could definitely I think she could win the Olympia again one day. I personally just think she just needs to bring that confidence level to stage, which obviously she's obviously said, that on um Instagram and stuff like that, that's her feedback. I think if she untaps that kind of like confidence that, the Lauralie, Amy, Issa, Maureen have, I think she could take it. She could get first place easy.
Me too.
100%.
Me too. I think she can take it when she will maybe try to present herself a little bit less robotic, because it's been so long time she's doing the same thing, and we don't feel what she feel inside when she's on stage. And I think that's maybe the little part which is missing. Maybe if she expressed something a little bit more with the eyes, maybe we will be able to receive more the beauty of the shape, I think.
No, I completely agree. I think like you said, her poses are great. I think the in between, like the transitions and stuff, is where you connect with people. Like, for example, Maureen, you see how she's so like, sexy and sultry, and she just flows, and everyone's like, oh my God, like that's insane. You just want that from Ashley. I think once she untaps that, I think she could easily win the Olympia. Again, like no problem.
Yes, same.
For sure. Exactly. So, it was so lovely speaking to you. And I'm glad that we got to do this. Obviously, like I said, thank you so much for doing this last minute, because I literally asked you 2 days ago. And I thank you so much for coming on. I'm excited to kind of put this up. This will literally be going up today. I'm going to put it up literally in the next hour or so. But thank you guys for watching, for listening. It really means a lot. Thank you guys for all that you do. If you have any questions or have any topics that you want us to talk about again, or any more guests you want to have on again, please let us know. And also comment down below, if you're watching on YouTube, who you think will be your top 5. I'm really interested to see what everyone else thinks, because I think a lot of people, I don't think anyone's ever got it 100% right. Like, I watch a lot of Olympia predictions, and I feel like no one gets it. No one gets it 100% right. It's like the same names, but just swapped, So I'm really interested to see who would get it right. Hopefully we might even get it right. I don't know. But yeah, thank you guys again so much for watching, listening, and we will see you in the next podcast.
Thank you.